Hello and welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Absolutely delighted tonight to be joined by Dean Sutherland ahead of his Celtic title clash in the Super Welterweight division on May 11th against Shion Yaxley. Dean, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's a pleasure to have you on the channel. And first thing first, how has camp been for yourself?
Thanks very much for having me on, my man. Camp has been brilliant. It has been absolutely tip top. Could not have wrote it to be any better. Coming off of a good win in February, kind of just kept the momentum going. I was only home for just about 2 weeks and then straight into camp again for a much longer one. But to already have good quality fitness and sharpness already, this whole camp has been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, just touching on, as you've said there, coming into this fight on the back of a good win. You come into this on the back of three victories, where you haven't dropped around.
Mhm.
You've got the one stoppage and that loss against Louis Greene. How has that shaped you? Because it seems since then, obviously, you've not dropped around. You've won all three fights convincingly. So was it needed? Did it shape you in the best way possible, that loss?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, at the time, nobody wants to get beat, and especially in the manner that it happened. It was a good quality fight, and at the right time, I thought that it was a good step up. Obviously, fighting for the vacant Commonwealth title. Louis was a top class opponent, and has obviously went on to do good things so far. But uh, yeah, it was almost like a crossroads fight for myself. That after that defeat, it made me have to sit back, look at some of the decisions in the lifestyle, what things I could improve, what things I needed to improve, what changes I could make, and I've been absolutely flourishing since. Like you were saying, I'm really enjoying myself. I've relocated and moved myself down to London for my training camps. I've got that grit and determination. I'm away from my loved ones. I'm away from family, friends, girlfriend. I'm putting in the hard work and obviously getting the top quality training and sparring down here. And I'm reaping the rewards. But realistically, I'm ready for the May 11th is when I really start picking up the stuff and everything starts coming together.
So that's not necessarily a case of you being unprofessional before. Has that loss shaped you in terms of you sort of now like you're the ultimate professional and it's put you in
Yeah,
the best you can be?
yeah. I think obviously a lot of people have the saying of you learn more from a loss, which was definitely the case. Uh, it was a loss that, looking back on it in hindsight, is obviously beautiful. There was mistakes that I did in the build up to it that that I've never done before, that I wouldn't do ever again. Looking back at it, but then even the fight, just like nothing was really going my way on the night, and I was still having good success. So it's not like I've went in there and I've been totally outclassed, and I know exactly the level that I'm at. It's more that I had a bad night and was still having good success and got caught with one good punch in the middle of a combination. Got up too quick, learnt, and obviously took my first loss and learnt from it. But it's one thing that I've got May the 11th to really focus on first. Obviously, the Celtic title, having that as a British title eliminator also makes it extra interesting for myself because looking towards that British title, whoever's got it, if it is Louis for the rematch or if it is Sam Gillett, then I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, obviously Louis and Sam have fought, and then since Louis has gone on with, he got the call up to Saudi and got
Yeah.
a pretty stunning knockout in the first round. Do you take notice of that at all? Obviously, especially since you fought him, or is it something that sort of gets put to the back of your mind, but is always there just as a bit of motivation to say, right, I need to get back, and I should be the one in that position?
But it's definitely motivational. Definitely, I had a good chat with Louis after the fight, and full respect that I had to him for what he's then went on to do afterwards. But I want my rematch with him. Like I want another shot at it. Obviously, it's got to make sense. There would be no point if there's nothing really involved for it. That it's got to make sense from the obviously career point of view, but it would be one thing that I would love to right that wrong on my career, and especially if it was for a major title, that would make it even sweeter.
And then obviously a British title eliminator, you're going in against an undefeated fighter with a career best win last time out. Is this the type of fights that you're looking for moving forward? Sort of, I know you've gone to rebuild with the three fights recently, but is it a case of big fights only, titles only, that sort of mentality moving forward?
Yeah, most definitely. Like I'm only 25, which is relatively young, but I'm also not a spring chicken. I've been involved in good quality fights. I've fought undefeated kids already. I've fought for major titles on smaller shows, and realistically, I need to start pushing myself up in the boxing platforms, as you would say, that I'm fighting on good quality small hall shows for good titles against good opponents, but nobody's really hearing about it or seeing it. Whereas some people are getting opportunities on these TV platforms and fighting nobodies and getting well looked after and obviously well compensated for it and for good titles. So the big thing for me is if I've got to take extra risks, whereas fighting the champion, an undefeated lad who is obviously, like you were saying, coming off a career best win last time, if that doesn't start getting interest, then I don't know what will. But I'm more than happy to be obliged and go for these fights. It realistically comes down to it. I'm not interested in fighting punch bags or people that's just going to cover up and go through the motions. They've got their time and place, but I'm 16-1. I'm ranked in the top 10 in Britain. I've got ambitions to go on and win some serious things, and I'm giving up massive sacrifices to do so. That I'm all in, and I'm up for anybody.
Is that part of the motivation as well? Obviously, you know, you leave no stone unturned in camp. You're highly professional. You see what you're doing in camp, whether it be sparring or the pad work, the footwork that gets put in. Is it motivation as well, where, like you say, we do see cases of unbeaten young prospects fighting punch bags
Mm-hmm.
on decent cards, decent shows. Is that motivation for yourself? Obviously, now you've got a British title eliminator to almost like a coming out fight, winning this title. You get the British title fight, hopefully, fingers crossed next, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's a case of you can finally show the public what Dean Sutherland is all about.
Yeah, very much so. Because it's, if for instance, if you look at the rankings and you look at the names that's involved, they're good quality names. That's all there. That any single one of the fights is more than worthy of being on a TV platform. But I think the big thing as well is I'm going to shows or watching shows on TV and looking at these undefeated kids fighting nice possible way. Nobody's that's kind of there for bit of a payday. They're getting good titles. They're getting financially properly looked after more than I ever would have done so far. And I'm gritting and I'm almost doing it the hard way, which I'm totally okay with because it's only going to serve me better purpose in the future. As I've been through these tough, hard fights, I've been through the nights where it's not going according to plan. It's tough, durable people. It's people that's there to win. That's only going to put me in big stead, and it's exactly what is going to make a huge difference in this fight going forward. That I fought an undefeated kid. I fought people that's been there and done that, and I'm only going and only getting better and better as we go. So I am 1000% ready for this fight and 100% ready for anything that comes afterwards.
Will you, in a sense, see the smaller hall shows that you're on, that you have been boxing on recently, when you get that big sort of, say you win on May 11th, you then get the British title fight. Is that almost justification? The where you've gone through like the small hall route, you've now got a chance to win the prestigious British title. So would you see these fights of where you'd like to be on the bigger cards and bigger shows? Would you almost see it as justification winning the British title?
Yeah, most definitely. Like I've never done things the easy way. I'm always up for a full challenge, and realistically, that's what any real true competitor should be about is a challenge. That I'm okay if I've not done it the traditional way. I never came from a big amateur background. I haven't had anything handed to me. I've done it off of the back of having a brilliant team round about me, an unbelievable local support, and hard work and determination. And that is what is going to make the difference for me when I do get these big opportunities. I've came through all that adversity, and I've got that tools in my box. And then it's just onto the bigger platforms and to start showing the wider public exactly the tools that I have learned on my trade. It's almost like the smaller horse show side of things is like my apprenticeship. I'm
Yeah.
going through it, and I've done the full side of it. I'm just ready for my coming out party. And on May the 11th, the performance that I put in will be that.
And then just a final one from yourself on the back of that, Dean. What can fans expect from yourself on May 11th?
An absolute masterclass. Simple as that. It's going to be exciting. It's a great evening. It's a fantastic venue. But at the end of the day, the only thing that people's coming to see is myself get my hand raised, and that is the only outcome that there's going to be.
Dean, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Look forward to watching you on May 11th. And hopefully, as you say, it will be yourself getting your hand raised at the end.
Top man, Owen. Thank you very much for getting in touch, my man. Much appreciated.